Hello, welcome back to 3 and 3, where I run down the top three stories the mainstream, let's say, forgot to tell you. We're in a shutdown of government again. Did you notice? Know who else doesn't notice? Congress. The vote to reopen failed 54-44 and needs 60, so don't be fooled. Democrats own the Schumer shutdown, trademark. They needed six. But do they care? Congress gets paid during a government shutdown, others have to wait. Members of Congress will still receive paychecks during the shutdown. Postal workers are also unaffected, and mail will continue as normal. Hundreds of thousands of others won't get paid until funding is restored. The federal government shut down for the first time since 2019 on Wednesday morning, leaving many employees working without pay until funding is restored. TSA agents and air traffic controllers will stay on the job, along with thousands of other essential workers, including those who keep Social Security running. The catch: many essential employees won't get paid until funding resumes, meaning they could miss one or more paychecks depending on how long the shutdown lasts. Hundreds of thousands of other federal employees find themselves furloughed. But like those still working without pay, they are guaranteed back pay thanks to a 2019 law. Members of Congress, however, continue to be paid during a shutdown, as do postal workers, since the U.S. Postal Service is a self funded independent agency. For federal contractors who aren't directly employed by the government, the situation is far less certain. Federal employees are guaranteed back pay, but contractors are not. Federal contractors have historically not received back pay, CRFB noted in a recent report, adding that federal contractors sometimes include premiums in their bids to account for uncertainty in being paid. In practice, outcomes will likely vary. Some private employers may continue paying their workers, and contract terms differ from agency to agency. As PolitiFact put it, some private employers with federal contracts may find ways to pay their employees, but there is nothing in federal law that requires it. Jim Malatros, Chief Strategy Officer at the FedCap Group, a nonprofit with federal janitorial and custodial contracts employing people with disabilities, told PolitiFact his company will keep paying workers while we have the funding to do so. The total number of contractors is hard to pin down, but Brookings estimates they now outnumber federal employees more than 2 to 1. As of March 31st, 2025, there were nearly 2.3 million federal civilian employees, a number that excludes postal workers, employees of various intelligence agencies, and military personnel. For reference, the five largest U.S. defense contractors employ some 690,000 people, underscoring how millions of contract workers could be affected by a prolonged shutdown. Number two, the CDC still hasn't issued COVID vaccine guidelines, leaving access in limbo. The lag by the CDC is very unusual. Typically, the CDC acts within days, sometimes hours, because of the urgency of getting shots into arms before the winter surge. The delay has created, quote, a lot of confusion both among the public and even among providers around what the status is, says Dr. Susan Cansegraw, Chief Medical Officer for the Association of State and Territorial Health Officials. This year's rollout of the COVID vaccine has been unusually chaotic from the start. Until this year, anyone 6 months or older could get vaccinated by their pharmacist without a prescription. But for the first time this year, the Food and Drug Administration only approved the new shots for people at risk for serious complications because of their age or health, causing widespread confusion and frustration. Then the CDC's powerful Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, which Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. packed with like-minded anti-vaccine members, weighed in about the nuts and bolts of making them widely available. After a tumultuous 2-day meeting last month, Kennedy's committee recommended adding a new hoop to getting vaccinated, but also took steps that could make more people eligible, let more pharmacists give the shots, and start shipping the vaccines for kids. But the CDC has yet to accept those recommendations, freezing everything in limbo. Quote, this is a critical piece of enabling downstream access, end quote, says Kansagra of the Association for State and Territorial Health Officials. It's a huge problem. And now with the government shut down, no one knows when the CDC might finally act or what the agency might do. Last story, FBI cuts all ties to Southern Poverty Law Center. The SPLC has tremendous impact inside and outside of law enforcement. Then SPLC President Margaret Hong bragged in a 2021 donor meeting that many agencies in the new Biden administration reached out to solicit our expertise to help shape the policies that the new administration is adopting to counter the domestic terrorism threat. That wasn't hyperbole. The Justice Department received a briefing from the SPLC shortly after it added Moms for Liberty to the hate map in June 2023. Big tech companies like Amazon have used the hate map to screen recipients for its former Amazon Smile program, where customers could designate a portion of their purchases go to support certain charities and other nonprofits. Companies like Eventbrite, PayPal, and Hyatt Hotels have relied on the SPLC's hate accusations to decide who they will allow to use their platforms and facilities. Donors networks worth billions have pledged to keep charitable funds from going to SPLC labeled hate groups. The SPLC enjoys this impact despite multiple scandals. The center fired its co-founder and saw its president resign in a 2019 racial discrimination and sexual harassment scandal. Amid that scandal, SPLC staff created a union that is part of a union organization that represents the radical anti-Israel group Jewish Voice for Peace. And amid a round of layoffs last year, the SPLC union accused the center of engaging in union busting. Despite its pernicious name, the SPLC has an endowment of more than $700 million, compensates its leaders handsomely, and possesses more than $30 million in offshore accounts, according to the IRS filings. Finally, the SPLC has troubling ties to Antifa, the loosely organized movement of far left agitators that President Donald Trump recently declared a domestic terrorist group. That is it for this week's 3 and 3. If you like what you hear, leave us a comment down below, forward it around to your friends. Let's subscribe, get more of those folks so you can get in your inbox every day news from the heartland. Thanks for listening.